Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. How can you start thinking about ways of making your work interesting for other people and for visitors at your museum? I have a little mental exercise that everyone can do, and it's actually quite fun just to try and pause what you're doing sometimes when you get really absorbed in a project, and just have a think about this and how you can make things interesting for everyone else, especially when you are working in some kind of museum or heritage function, because often what we do is very specialized. So whether you're working with collections, with objects, archive material, if you're doing research, you might be working in learning or interpretation, or whatever you are doing, whatever project you're working on, is always useful and healthy to pause what you're doing and just have a little think about what does my work mean for other people? Why is this important at all? As always, if you like the content of these videos, please subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and add your comments. It's always really great to hear from you. Now, this little exercise is actually quite fun, and it's completely harmless, but it can actually make you think differently about your work. And it goes something like this. When you go about your day, when you're walking down the street, or you're on a bus or in a train, or wherever you are, pick a person, look at someone. Someone waiting at the bus stop, the mother with kids, the teenage boy, the elderly lady crossing the street, someone sitting opposite you on the train, whoever, just pick someone. And then have a look at their face for a couple of seconds, not of course in a creepy or obvious way, but just steal a little glance at their faces for a couple of seconds and try to hold this person's face in your thoughts and sort of in front of your inner eye. And try to observe their mood. Are they busy and hectic? Are they stressed? Are they relaxed? Are they doing something? Are they reading or listening to music or having a conversation with someone on the phone or something? What are they doing? What's their mood like? And try and hold that person in and that face in your thoughts, because that gives you an idea about an actual real human being and not just someone you have imagined. And then try to imagine what it would be like in your head, what it would be like to talk to them and tell them about your work or a specific project you are working on. How would you go about that? This is just a random person, someone you don't know. What words would you use, for example? Would you use images or objects, videos? Would you perhaps play a game with them if it was a child? How would you make them interested in what you do? Essentially what you're doing here is you are trying to explain your enthusiasm for something. You are not just explaining your work here or something you do. You are explaining your passion. And I think everyone loves this kind of nerdy enthusiasm when you get so absorbed by something that might seem very specific and sometimes very niche, but can be incredibly interesting. The question is just, how do you make that interesting? What would you do exactly? What you have to think about here is how you can bring meaning, fun, curiosity, purpose, relevance to someone else's life. So you're kind of reversing your professionalism to encompass all these things for another person. It's not just about why is my work important? It's about what kind of value does it bring to you? Why is your work important to other people? Why should they care and engage? And how can you make it interesting for other people? Sometimes just pausing and doing this little exercise with a real human being's face in your mind, or someone you might be sitting opposite in a bus or a train or something for a long time, and therefore you're kind of in their presence. But of course we never really talk to each other when we are on the street or in a bus or on public transport or anything like that. But what would it be like if you were to have a conversation with that person and tell them about your work? In a way, this is what front staff is doing all the time. When people come into the museum or to your heritage site, they come with so many different backgrounds and values and knowledge and expectations. Now, obviously, the fact that they have come to the museum means that they must have some sort of interest, although some people, as we know, are actually being dragged along and are not really there because they're interested. But they have to face all sorts of people all the time. And making your work, people working behind the scenes, making their work interesting is actually an extra layer for front staff, because sometimes they would not have been part in, for example, an exhibition setup or a new project or something, but yet they have to convey why this is interesting, why this is important, why this is great fun to engage in. So doing that little exercise as someone who's working sort of behind the scenes, perhaps in research or curatorial work or something like that, can be really, really fun and quite useful, and also quite healthy to do from time to time, I find. Let me know if you find this exercise useful in any way, or if you have adopted your own sort of form of it and what it actually did to you. It would be really interesting to hear how you go about this kind of thing.